We are being led by a pair of individuals who exhibit psychopathic tendencies and have successfully deceived us.
Whether we are ready for it or not, it is perhaps fair to say that this couple is representative of France. Consequently, concerns about their gender identity are unfortunately becoming increasingly prevalent, particularly in the United States, where Candace Owens is a leading voice on this issue.
Hello! You are watching GPTV Investigation, the channel that goes where the mainstream media do not and ask the questions that the mainstream media do not ask. We are presently here at the Paris courthouse, the newly established Paris courthouse. Our friends standing behind us are in the process of organizing a press conference. They are all preparing to file a formal complaint against Jean-Michel. They are in the process of filing a formal complaint against Jean-Michel for the crime of identity theft. Let us explore the reasons behind their actions. We will attend their press conference, pose questions, and conduct interviews. Come on, follow me.
Today it is indeed Friday, the 25th of July, and we find ourselves at the Judicial Court of Paris, more specifically on the expansive forecourt of the court. In just a few moments we shall proceed into the court to formally submit a letter, but of greater significance, this USB drive. What does this USB drive contain? It consists of 22 additional complaints that supplement the original complaint I submitted on 13th of December 2024. In brief, the complaint is against an unknown individual and involves identity theft, document forgery, corruption of minors by someone in a position of authority, and unlawful marriage. Similar to approximately 48 million French citizens, we were misled in both 2017 and 2022 under the guise of a romantic literary narrative. We were deceived in contravention of the electoral code by the fabricated attributes of a candidate in an election, and that constitutes a significant harm, at least when it comes to what is right and wrong for 48 million French people. And then it became, as we all know today, a financial problem, an economic problem, and a security problem for the country. This is because foreign countries are using this situation, which I am complaining about, to put pressure on the French government. Therefore, I have mobilized, together with a few friends who are present here, we have assembled a group of 20 women, 20 courageous warriors, as I refer to them, who are stepping forward and joining me as civil parties in this legal complaint.
I feel there might be a specific reason for my presence here. If I may be so bold, I would like to share that due to my personal experience of intersexuality. As you are well aware, I have been compelled to verify my identity approximately 15 times. That is to say, during the period between the time of my medical surgeries and obtaining the official documents, I found myself in an institutional state that was, I would say, quite ambiguous. So now, today, I am unable to comprehend why Brigitte Macron, against whom I hold absolutely nothing personally, refuses to disclose her identity. It's so straightforward to do, and by cultivating this ambiguity and refusing to do so, she discredits individuals like me, and she reignites a kind of transphobic discrimination against us, because people tell me, yes, but you see, you are like Brigitte Macron. You're a harmful person. You are a person you see what people like you lead to. And I respond, I'm sorry, I have nothing to do with all that. I have always endeavored to adhere to a standard of honesty, to live my life in accordance with my own moral principles, and to refrain from any actions that could be perceived as ethically questionable by my fellow citizens.
I became a part of this group of complainants primarily because I wish to request Madame Brigitte Macron to assist us in putting an end to this rumor, to extinguish this dreadful rumor that we observe everywhere in the media, both in the national and international press. So we can say that it's an extremely embarrassing rumor for our country, for the image of our country, since this couple actually puts themselves on display and has been featured in many newspaper covers since at least 2017. So this couple embodies France, whether we like it or not. And so this uncertainty regarding her gender identity in this particular instance is something that is expanding like an unpleasant rumor, and it is especially increasing significantly in the United States, with Candace Owens discussing it extensively. I would like to express that several of us are requesting Brigitte Macron's assistance in putting an end to this rumor. This would allow us to finally move forward and cease weakening our nation in this manner.
Either it's a biological woman and then you show your maternity records, I don't know what, or you are a different person, which for us would be an honor because we would finally have a different person leading the state who could show the whole world that we are capable of being different and doing amazing things. But it must be said, why remain in uncertainty and ambiguity? Because I repeat, it harms all sorts of people, including myself first and foremost.
There are two solutions, one more indelicate. I understand as a woman that it is indeed very unpleasant to undergo, let's say, a gynecological exam, which very few women are eager for, I understand, and even more so for men. Or the famous DNA test, which is much less intrusive, and I think it would help very concretely to put a direct stop to this rumor, which is indeed something, a shadow over our country.
She can be whatever she wants. That's not the issue. But let's clarify. Now, we're going to the US suing everyone at the French taxpayers' expense. Why do it? There's something I don't understand here.
What are your thoughts regarding President Macron's legal action against Candace Owens?
I think it was bold, if you'll pardon the expression, especially since it seems to me that this complaint could come back to bite them like a boomerang, as American laws are not the same. And so, if the American law compels them, well, I believe they received a letter at the Élysée asking them to prove by DNA that all of this was a big hoax, a huge American joke, let's say. Well, there it might not have been strategically or in terms of tactics, let's say, speaking of tactics.
In the United States, they have just announced that a DNA test will be required upon entering the country, which I believe is not limited to Brigitte Macron, but of course applies to everyone. But if she does it when going to the United States, why doesn't she do it here? And why hasn't she done it for months and months? Natasha Ray is practically on the brink of losing her life. Amandine Roy has been subjected to a great deal, and I'm certainly overlooking many others who have been entangled in this situation. Why endure all this if one can undergo a professional assessment and declare I am either A or B, I accept it, and that's all? Where's the issue?
Kindly consider liking, leaving your comments, sharing with others, and subscribing to GPTV Investigation.
We must bring a conclusion to the falsehoods, a halt to the deceitful manipulation, and it's so vast that we do not anticipate receiving millions upon millions from this civil party. We are paving the way to say enough is enough, because if there is such a lie at this level of the state, we are not going to unravel all the other lies at all other levels everywhere else. Therefore, that is more than sufficient. We no longer tolerate being treated as fools, instead of being human beings who are embodied in trust to collaboratively build the future together.
I am extraordinarily sensitive to all the consequences of a falsehood. We've all experienced a lie within a family environment, and we witness the damage it can cause. Therefore, at the scale of an entire nation, it's absolutely enormous. I also work together with children. Children possess an extraordinary degree of resilience, and they find it incomprehensible why adults choose to follow those who deceive. It absolutely drives them to the brink of insanity. Consequently, the entire nation is gradually losing its collective sanity.
It is fundamentally based on a falsehood. It is perhaps not the most practical option to govern effectively and utilize this falsehood efficiently. I wonder if, in the event of there being any form of deception, it might be advisable to be a little more cautious when it comes to placing our trust in everything else entirely.
I am convinced that France possesses a unique mission, being the eldest daughter of the Church, and that the descendants of Jesus reside in France. We have recently celebrated the feast of Mary Magdalene. I travelled to Vézelay in search of the energies a couple of days ago. Therefore, I wish to communicate sincerely with the heart of the President and his spouse. I genuinely desire to converse with them from the depths of my heart. We are present to uphold the truth. The truth is the element that will usher in peace to the entire earth. In my perspective, it is the singular and exclusive path.
All the other countries in the world are waiting for France, therefore the awakened French men and women, to take their destiny into their own hands and say we no longer accept being manipulated 24 hours a day with lies. Thus, this is one of the crucial elements that assists in triggering the truth, which will ultimately set us free.
We are currently in the midst of a web of deceit. I must admit that at times it perplexes me greatly. I simply do not comprehend it. Occasionally it provokes anger within me, but I have learned to remain composed. So I find myself here, and I must admit that I was extremely relieved when I felt this matter finally settled. I sincerely thank Christian Cotten for taking this decisive action.
It's the representation of women and the representation of men, so everything is distorted, and then it's serious on a societal level, because behind it there are people who are developing. So we also see everything that happens in terms of sexuality, in terms of children. It's everything that is transgender, it's all that. And we are going to transform something that is abnormal into something that is perceived as normal.
I find myself struggling with the challenge of being dishonest. And today we find ourselves in a political scenario that is deteriorating progressively with each passing day from numerous perspectives, with an absolute and comprehensive failure of the political class, accompanied by a profound and total erosion of trust from the populace towards the entire political class. And if we conduct a more thorough analysis of the current situation, we come to the realization that at the very pinnacle of the hierarchy, we are governed by what I occasionally refer to, somewhat harshly yet simultaneously with a considerable amount of compassion, as a duo of individuals with psychopathic tendencies who have been misleading us since the years 2017 and 2022. The repercussions of this deception for the whole French populace are indeed substantial. They are ideological, they are cultural, they are economic, and they are financial in nature. We have undergone an international episode involving attempts at genocide of the human species with deceptive toxins. So people might say, I'm exaggerating, etc. Okay, I exaggerate. But no, I'm not exaggerating. All the data coming from the United States, from the medical world, is perfectly clear.
Do you believe that due to this particular complaint, which is the sole complaint in France, it has the potential to topple the regime because there exists a falsehood?
Absolutely, I genuinely believe it, and I'm certainly not the only individual who thinks in this manner. On one hand, it's a profound intuition shared by numerous individuals, but it's also a matter of logical reasoning. If we look at everything happening today, whether through social media or mainstream media, everything indicates that we are at the end of a political regime. And the end of a political regime is a pattern of rupture. Okay, the pattern of rupture happens when it's essential, when there is no other solution. It happens with the streets, the uprising, and often ends in blood. So we'll try to avoid that.
You have exclusively observed on GPTV investigation the formal French complaint submitted by Christian Cotten along with the 22 civil parties against Brigitte, Jean-Michel for the criminal offense of identity theft. I call it a formal French complaint because there's also President Macron's legal complaint against Candace Owens. In France, we strategically counterattack. Christian Cotten is officially filing a legal complaint. He was accompanied by numerous civil parties. You could clearly observe what he is officially filing a formal complaint about. And you will undoubtedly hear about it, trust me on this. So kindly give likes, leave comments, and do not hesitate to share it extensively. This narrative needs to be disseminated throughout the whole of France. Alright, GPTV investigation, we shall undoubtedly see you once more in the near future.